Corey, you want some chicken?
No.
What do you mean no? You want some of this curry chicken. Hi, it's Tanya from My Forking Life, and today we're in the kitchen and we are making a Jamaican curry chicken. Now, this is a recipe that I grew up eating. I love it, and this is my take on the recipe that I had to beg and beg my mother for because, of course, she didn't measure anything. So after watching her and just kind of making a few little changes, this is the recipe that I make for my family nowadays. Now, if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you're notified every time I upload a new recipe. So let's go ahead and get started. I've got here about 2 pounds of chicken thighs. I rinse my chicken in vinegar and water because that's what mommy says. But most curry chicken recipes use bone-in chicken. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll have the whole chicken. You can cut it up into smaller pieces. I'm not doing that. I just got some boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I have chopped in about 2-inch chunks. Rinse them with a little bit of water and vinegar and then dry them off. And I am going to marinate this chicken for my curry chicken stew because curry chicken is a stew. It is going to build liquid. I am also going to season this chicken with some aromatics. Boom. With some aromatics. So I've got here a yellow onion as well as some green onion, some garlic, and I've got a green pepper that I'm going to use in this recipe as well. And of course, I'm going to season it with curry powder. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and chop these veggies as well. Oh, my eyes are burning. We'll also chop up some green onions. Roughly. Half of a green pepper. We're also gonna chop up some garlic. I've got about 4 cloves of garlic here that I'm just going to chop up. We're done with that. So I usually would add fresh thyme at this stage, but I've only got dried, so I'm gonna add about a ½ teaspoon of dry thyme. I'm also gonna add some all-purpose seasoning. I will leave a link into the description of the all-purpose seasoning that I use for this recipe, but I'm only gonna add about a teaspoon of that. And I'm gonna add a little bit of the curry powder to this. I am actually combining curry powders. Now, whatever type of curry you use, remember that's how your final dish is going to taste. So basically my parents, Blue Mountain was their go-to brand. When we got older, mommy was always talking about Beta Pack. So basically I combine the two. I like, you basically, you know, once you make enough curry, you can figure out what combination of flavors you like. I like to use a little bit of Beta Pack and more of the, basically the hot version of the Blue Mountain curry. So I'm actually gonna add about a ½ tablespoon of each to the chicken at this point to help, you know, incorporate those flavors. And now we're gonna go ahead and make sure we mix that mixture all together. I like to use my hands, however, be aware that curry does stain, so if you don't want yellow hands and fingernails, you might want to wear gloves. Boom, boom, boom. All right, and I'm gonna cover this and let it marinate in the refrigerator for at least an hour. What we wanna do is have that flavor build. You can do it for longer than that, but generally an hour is usually good enough for me. Now, before I cover this, I'm gonna go ahead and wash this chicken and curry off my hands. Yeah. Be back in an hour. All right, it's been an hour and my chicken has been marinating and I am ready to proceed along with the recipe. All right, oh gosh, that smell. It smells so good already. You can already smell the spices in all the curry. So what we're gonna do at this point is we are going to separate these nice chunks of, you know, the green pepper and the onions from the chicken and separate that in a separate bowl because we're gonna saute those vegetables before we cook the whole thing. Gonna go wash my hands. I'll be back. Alrighty, so now that we finally separated our vegetables from our chicken, you can see I've got my chicken here ready to cook, as well as my vegetables. When that is ready, I've also got my curry powder that I am going to use. Now, this step is optional. What I'm going to do at this point is called burn the curry. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, but lately I've just been doing it because it's a really cool way to release some extra flavors. Cool, I mean, people do it, but anyways. So you want to make sure you have a heavy bottom pot. This is about a 5 quart, and I'm going to turn that on medium heat. I think my pot is hot. So now that my pot has preheated a little bit, I'm gonna add about 3 tablespoons of oil. I'm just using regular old olive oil. Coat the bottom of that. And I'm gonna add 1.5 tablespoons of curry powder to that and stir it. Now we're not going to burn it, we're just gonna release the flavors in that oil. And we're just gonna stir that. Oh, I can smell it. Only for about 20 to 30 seconds. Again, keep your heat only on medium when you're doing this because you don't actually want to burn it. You just really want to release those flavors in that oil. It's been long enough for me, and now I'm gonna add my onions and peppers to the pot and saute them to those soften a bit. About 4 to 5 minutes. Now, if you notice that your pepper and onion mixture is getting a little bit dry, just add a little bit of water so they don't dry out too much. And you just continue to saute until it gets soft. Alright, and now I'm going to go ahead and add my chicken pieces to that pot. I'm not going to brown them because I'm using boneless, skinless chicken pieces for this, and it's going to produce a lot of gravy. So I'm just going to add that to the pot, and I'm going to add some water, only a tip of water, which is what my mom says, but it's pretty much about 1/4 cup of water. Now, you don't want to add any more water than that. Trust me, this is going to sprout its own water, meaning that even though there doesn't look like there's a lot of water in there now, you're going to end up with a lot of water when we're done with this. Go ahead and reduce your heat down to medium-low and cover this. We're going to cook this for about 30 to 35 minutes. We're going to check on it, you know, a couple times throughout just to make sure that it's cooking through, and we'll stir it. But we're going to leave this covered, again, medium-low heat for 30 to 35 minutes. I'll be back. Wow. So this is 10 minutes, just so you know. Alright, so it's been about 20 minutes, and when there's about 15 minutes left, that's when I like to add the final ingredient that I'm adding to my curry chicken, which is a russet potato. I've got here about a medium-sized russet potato. I'm just going to chop that into small pieces and add that to the curry. It basically gives it a nice texture. It's also just a vegetable that you add to it, but that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to chop these up pretty small. And just let that cook in that chili for the last 15 minutes. And that also will basically thicken our gravy. So a lot of times what will happen is when you're cooking your curry chicken, you know, your gravy will be quite thin. Adding a potato kind of thickens it up a little bit. Ooh, that looks good. You see all that gravy that's already been produced. Let's go ahead and add our potato. Add all this potato. It's a lot of potato. I'm just leave about that much. Mix that in there. Yes, baby, I'm making curry chicken. You smell it? Yeah. All right, I'm gonna cover that and let that finish cooking for another 15 minutes until those potatoes have softened and that chicken is tender. And if you didn't notice, I put a little bit of a pressure cooker back there. Okay, hey baby. I put a pressure cooker back there because I'm gonna cook this and serve this with white rice. All right, I'll be back. What are you doing? I think our curry chicken is finished. Ooh, that's hot. Ooh. And what did I promise you? A lot of gravy. So you really honestly only need a tip of water because you are going to get a ton of gravy. The liquids from those potatoes and those chickens and those peppers and the, I guess, the curry, it released and you have a wonderful curry stew. In a way that you check to make sure that it's done, you know, you can see that chicken is already basically starting to shred and it's super tender and our potatoes are basically falling apart. Let's see if I can get another one. So yes, this stew is good and ready. And I'm gonna serve it over white rice. I love curry and white rice, white jasmine rice. It's my favorite. Now this is really hot. I'm gonna go ahead and get a piece of that chicken. That's a big piece. I'm gonna burn myself if I eat that right now. But along with that rice and some of that potato. All right, now time to taste test. Tastes like home. Corey, you want some chicken? No. What do you mean no? You want some of this curry chicken. All right, guys, until the next time. Bye.